What is going on, everybody? This is a special video today because we're trying to get back into a bit of a content groove, and I've wanted to do this for a while. There's no profile camera today because couldn't be bothered chopping around all the different slides and stuff, which you'll see later. As couldn't be bothered. You don't have to look at my mug video anyway. Not sure how long this is going to take, but there will be some editing involved, so bear with me. But as you can read, this is the NBA Mascot Rumble of 2023 by Jash Lloyd. It'll be a comparison of the mascots in the NBA league that I reckon could beat each other in a fight. It very much is a lot of different categories involved in how to fight each other. It's not just who's the coolest, or who's the best. But as you'll see later, we have ranked things based on the conference standings at this current point of February 23. So sit back, hope that your mascot for your team does the best, and we'll get things started. Now, this part here is a bit scraggly, so bear with me. But this is the standings for the competition. As you see here, I've got all the mascots that are actually existing at the present time in this order. As I said, they are ranked on the current standings of their associated basketball team. I've kind of done my best to match up the percentages between the two conferences. So Lucky Leprechaun gets a first seed, Rocky the Mountain Lion, Bango the Buck, Franklin, Grizz are your top 5 seeds. Your bottom 5 seeds are Clutch the Bear, the Coyote, Hooper, Hugo the Hornets, and Stuff the Magic Dragon. A lot of fan favorites in here. You got Harry the Hawk, you've got Pierre the Pelican, Crunch the Wolf, the Big Dog. Some less fan favorites such as Go the Gorilla and fucking Bernie, and big dogs like Slamson the Lions. As you do notice, there's two tag teams, Sir CC and Moondog from the Cavaliers, and Mavs Man Champ from the Mavs. They have got 2 mascots, so they will be playing tag teams, and that will obviously weigh up in how they go in their fights. So I'm using challenge, so I've got a bit of a bracket here. I had to say we were playing NBA Jam. But if we check out the bracket, we're now going to see the matchups here. So these are our round runs. Lucky the Leprechaun, Franklin, Grizz, Rocky the Mountain Lion, Bango the Buck, and Sir CC and Moondog have buys. That's just how tournaments work. I couldn't really do a conference finals things because I don't know, I couldn't sort it out. And as you notice, there is a match for third. So this is our round ones. I'm going to click start tournament, and we're going to see how we go. So best of luck again to all your mascot boys, and we'll go into round 1 now. Alrighty, now we head into round 1. Let's have a look here. We have Rumble the Bison versus Blaze the Trail Cat. Now, Blaze has some speed. You don't really see a lot of presence with Blaze. I wouldn't either if I had to stick with the Blazers. But look, he's got some speed. As a trail cat that he is, but Rumble's just he's a weapon. He's a real big man on campus, and he's a bison. I think if you, etymologically, that's a word, go between a bison and a trail cat. Rumble's going to take this first round straight out of the gates and really sort of clean up the remains of Blaze. Next round, Bernie versus the Coyote. Now, I don't know if you're around these parts for a while, you've just hit in this video, but I hate Bernie. I think Bernie is the worst mascot in the league, just on aesthetic, just in general. He's got a basketball for a nose. I don't care if he's supposed to be on fire, but Bernie's a piece of shit. I'll say it. And the Coyote, look, I don't really know much about him, but he's a Coyote. And if he was to fight Bernie, I don't even think the Miami Dancers can help him here. He'll just shred through it. Round 3, Hooper's a bit of a question mark. I don't know what animal he is. Is he a donkey? I didn't really do the research. Probably should have, but we don't do research around here. That's what I've got interns for, and they're cats. So Chuck's obviously a condor. I think Hooper takes this round because Chuck doesn't look like he knows how to throw a punch. He has got a bird, and he can, he's got a beak, and he can fly in the air. But if you've seen Hooper at halftime, he can get some real big oops and up in the air with his dunks. So I reckon he'll rip Chuck out of the sky. So I think Hooper takes round 3. Round 4, we have Pierre the Pelican versus Big Benny the Bull. Classic mascot. Actually think he might be the first mascot of all time. And Benny the Bull, he's a crowd favorite. There's what's not to love about him. He is also a bull. Pierre, he's one cooked looking dude. The photo I was going to use with him was a drawing, and it was way worse than this one. Tough matchup. Pierre's quite large. He's a big man about it. But Benny takes him. I think just the pure grit and the experience that Benny has around the parts of whatever the equivalent of mascot manner is for the NBA. Benny puts Pierre in his place and sorts him out. Now, my boy Crunch, round one, is against, unfortunately, the Raptor. Kind of copped it on seeding. He's there with his dances. He's a big fan. I'm a big fan of Crunch. He's a big dog. He's a wolf. But he's against a literal Raptor. And I just feel like there are a few mascots here that can take the Raptor down. Crunch would go really close, but I think in a Raptor's tooth, for lack of a better word, I think Crunch will unfortunately go down to Raptor in round 5. Coming on around 6 now, we have Harry the Hawk versus G Wiz. Now, I don't know about you fellas, but I have no idea who G Wiz his business is. I don't know where he's come from. I don't know what tricks he has, but I would not want to be on the other end of G Wiz. His eyes are menacing. He runs the place. The board's scared of him. The players are scared of him. Kids love him. Mums love him. But I would not want to go against him. Harry the Hawk, he's just a hawk. He's doing some dance moves there, but I don't think he has any chance against the juggernaut that is G Wiz. I think G Wiz takes him out quite comfortably here without even breaking a sweat. I don't even think G Wiz gets up out of his chair to beat Harry the Hawk in this round. Slamson the Lion, another favourite of mine. He's fighting the lovable Clutch the Bear. Now, Clutch, his Rockets aren't doing too well these days, and that's okay. It's probably Jalen Green in that costume anyway. But Slamson doesn't give a fuck who's in the suit. He's ripping that bear ear to ear. Slamson is just, he's got so much just duress about him. He is not a man you want to mess with. He is a lion as well, and a lion versus a bear is a very big matchup around these parts across all times. But you just know Slamson's packing, and he's just going to tombstone Clutch into oblivion. Slamson takes this round. No more questions asked. Mavs Man and Champ versus Hugo the Hornet. It's one of our first doubles, our tag team matches. And unfortunately, Hugo's going to be on the receiving end of it. Hugo's just a Hornet. Even if we equate for his size, and not that he's an actual size of a Hornet and that he's a big man, he's bigger than the Marines. What do you do against a man that's made of basketballs and a horse? And they've got synergy. I think Mavs Man and Champ are just going to, that's a clear win. Another clear win here. You don't want to mess with these two. I think they're going to be one to look for throughout the tournament. But hopefully someone will take them out. Now we have a very close matchup. Probably our closest matchup in round 1. It is Jazz the Bear versus Boomer. Boomer, I guess he's a Puma for the Indiana Pacers. And Jazz Bear is one man who looks like he has seen a lot of shit in his time. He's all rugged, but he still dresses up for the Jazz. I reckon he's a big Vando man like myself. Tough matchup. I think Jazz Bear might take him in round 3 if it was a boxing match or even just a no-hold match. I think Boomer will keep up. I think Boomer's got a soft side about him that when it came down to it, he's not willing to take the final blow and take Jazz Bear out. Jazz Bear's not going to hesitate. He knows that this is life or death. He knows what's on the line. And if you look deep into his dark souls of his eyes, he's killing Boomer. And even Boomer could plead and whatever, and Jazz will manipulate him in the case to make him send any more into weakness. But Jazz Bear is going to take out Boomer in our second last matchup of round 1. And lastly, last round of round 1, is Go the Gorilla against Stuff the Magic Dragon. He is another one of my favorites. A man who has many hidden abilities. This is an image, but his nose actually moves, which I think is really sick. He gets up on the platform at halftime and he gets the crowd loud. Go the Gorilla, I've never seen show his face in front of the Phoenix crowd before. He's probably walking around, he's getting a hot dog or something. There's no effort in Go the Gorilla. Similar G Wiz, he is a magic wielder, and he is going to just decimate gorilla the gorilla however he wants, and make him paste. So yeah, that is the end of round one, and we'll now look at the standings. All right, having a look at the standings now. We have round one completed. A couple of big matchups as we've discussed in the round. Round two, we get to see the first six that got a bye coming up against some juggernauts. Some big matches with G Wiz running down. We got some favourites coming out with G Wiz, Slamson, and Stuff the Magic Dragon. I think are going to go quite far in this bracket. And some not so far upcomers like Franklin and Bungo the Buck. We might see how he goes. And there's another double team coming in the 16 with Cersei C and Moondog. So we'll get ready for round two and we'll jump into it. All right, we have round two here on the Mascot Rumble. I'll admit I've had a couple of cocktails since the first recording, so we'll see how this goes as far as energy. First round of round two, we have Luck the Leprechaun versus Rumble the Bison. Now, on first glance, you're like, what the fuck? This is just a dude in a leprechaun outfit. But as far as the lore goes, Luck the Leprechaun is the human embodiment of luck. And that's pretty crafty when it comes to fighting. You know, this bloke's not got a lot going on for him, but Luck as an entire entity is a pretty big juggernaut. So Rumble, he's got his work cut out. I reckon he goes really hard to get some blood on his fur. I think as soon as the human version of Luck is defeated, he'll just luckily transform into another form. So I reckon Luck the Leprechaun has this round. All right, now we have the Coyote versus Hooper. First match of winners only without a seeding buff. Hooper, again, we don't know what animal he is. If we're assuming he's a donkey, I reckon the Coyote's... He's seen some shit. Look at these eyes. He's seen some shit. I reckon he's a bit stronger than his cousin Wile Coyote. So I reckon the Coyote takes this and just rips Hooper to shreds. Gets some mania in his eye and goes to town on him. Then, unluckily, thanks to his seed, Franklin ranges with the second round, but he's up against Benny the Bull. Franklin's not fighting anybody. There's no one that Franklin can beat in this bracket. Maybe the Hornet. But Franklin, he's there for a good time. He's not there for a hard time. I reckon Franklin cops it pretty badly to Benny. So that's going to be my pick for this one. Unfortunately, Franklin, look, he's not last, but he's definitely not first. All right, now we have another convincing player, the Raptor, coming into his second round against Grizz. Grizz looks like he's a tough bear. It's a tough fight. He's definitely stronger than Crush, so he would have beaten Crush to get to this point anyway if the seeds were changed. But I think when it comes down to it, I think the Raptor might take Grizz out. I think it'll definitely affect his future bracket beating Grizz, because I reckon Grizz would have taken everything he could. But the Raptor is going to come down and take this round again. All right, now we have one of our juggernauts of the entire bracket. Gee Whiz is up against Rocky the Mountain Lion. Now, I'm pretty sure Rocky has a pretty good paycheck. But I don't know if he's got that dog in him to take Gee Whiz. I think Gee Whiz, again, he's just this fucking wizard who is a magic user. Rocky's just a mountain lion. I don't think his teeth can take on the power the same way that he needs to. Gee Whiz is going to be hard to beat. I reckon he's a cooked unit. I reckon he's seen some shit you never want to dream of. So Gee Whiz takes it over Rocky. Unfortunately for Rocky, he's been bundled out. Another crowd favorite up against another duo, Mavs Man and the Champ against Slamson. Very powerful players here. If we're gonna break it down, I think Slamson, again, he's a menace. I reckon he takes out Champ first, and then Mavs Man, under the grief of losing his brother Champ, ends up really powering up and having a go at him, and being made a basketball really hard for any damage to be taken. But without that 1-2 punch with Mavs Man and Champ, I reckon Slamson does actually win this one. He's going to be bruised, but he's going to be victorious. I just reckon, yeah, his Slamson's he's a king. He is the king of the jungle because he is a lion. We have another new top seed, Bango the Buck, wild man, wild thing, against Jazz the Bear, absolute devoid of any emotion. Bango the Buck, I reckon, given his nature, um, one of those guys. The same way when Jazz won his round one, I reckon he just can't do the killing blow on Jazz, and Jazz is just ruthless. I reckon he's one of the most bloodthirsty mascots in this competition. So I reckon Jazz is going to take out Bango. There's just not a lot Bango can really do when it comes down to the very end of it. He has got his ropes and his little tricycle, but it's just Jazz is going to just rip him to shreds. We go back to the last round. Stuff the Magic Dragons running this lower end of the bracket. He's up against Sir Susie and Moondog, another one of our power couples. I don't know what it is. It's essentially sort of, a musketeer and a dog against the ever omnipresent power of Stuff the Magic Dragon. I reckon Stuff pulls out a couple more tricks that the league hasn't seen yet, and takes out Moondog first. It seems to be a habit that the mascots take out the dog or the animal first and leave the humanoid for the second half. I reckon that's the best decision. So Moondog gets slain by Stuff at half power, and Stuff the Magic Dragon will finish off Sir CC and take out this round. Now we take a look at the bracket so far. We are down to our top 8. Couple upsets. I think we didn't really think that Lucky would get past the round. The Coyote is still running through. Benny is running real hard with the Bulls. Gee Whiz, one of our juggernauts with the other magic wheel to Stuff the Magic Dragon. It will be very interesting if they play each other because we're going to see what happens there. And then Slamson's our king of the jungle, who is going on an absolute tear, beating Clutch, beating Mavs Man Champ, and now we'll go into our top 8. So we'll see how round 3 goes right now. Starting off round 3, we have Luck Leprechaun versus the Coyote. The Coyote's been a bit of an underdog, I'll admit. Didn't think he'd get this far. He's against Luck Leprechaun. Now, because he is a blood relative to Wile E. Coyote, I reckon the Coyote's going to be Luck on his own side. So I think now that we've known that Luck's human form is gone, and I don't know what now he might be in the leprechaun form that would have been just enough to beat his previous opponent. I reckon the Coyote, it could be close. I reckon the Coyote might take Luck because he's Wile E. Coyote's cousin. And he's got some anti-luck up his. Wiley's got all the anti-luck, which means if we turn the opposite side of the coin, the Coyote has all the luck. So I'm going to have a bit of an upset, I reckon, of the Coyote taking on Luck the Leprechaun. So the underdog continues to challenge this top of the bracket. Benny the Bull, our veteran, is up against the Raptor. Now, there's not a lot of things that can beat the Raptor. He's going through a couple of people. He's taken a lot of heads. And now he's against Benny the Bull. And I think Benny the Bull might have that dog in him that might be able to take the Raptor. I just feel like he's been around the block long enough, as long as the dinosaurs have. And coincidentally, the Raptor is a dinosaur. So he knows a trick or two about that dinosaur combat. Benny the Bull, I reckon he takes this. I reckon just his pure knowledge of being in these rumbles for the last 60 years, I reckon he's just going to take out the Raptor purely on knowledge alone. So the veteran card is being played here, being the Bull, taking down the Raptor. We come back to probably the biggest juggernaut match of this round. Gee Whiz against Slamson the Lion. Man, what do we do here? Gee Whiz still has a bag of tricks that we haven't seen yet. And I think Slamson, he's cunning, he's brave, he's smart, he's from Sacramento, but I don't see a lot of things stopping Gee Whiz. I just think there's more forms. I reckon we're not even at our real ethereal form of Gee Whiz. I reckon he has a real emergency button if he needs to press it. I reckon he got pretty close to pressing it against Slamson, but Gee Whiz is taking down Slamson. Well done, Slamson, for making top 8. But Gee Whiz moves on. I don't see Slamson beating G-Wiz. I don't see a lot of people in this bracket left beating G-Wiz. There's a couple of them perhaps, but G-Wiz moves on to the next round. Another big juggernaut match. Jazz Bear versus Stuff the Magic Dragon. We're still at this bottom end now. Stuff the Magic Dragon. He's used a lot of his tricks. He's used his nose thing. He's used his platform thing in the last couple of rounds when he's needed it. He is a magic wielder. Jazz the Bear has so much void in his eyes. I don't think he understands magic, so it can't affect him. I reckon Jazz Bear is going to continue his head down, thumbs up, rip you to shreds from ear to ear. I reckon he's going to grab those magic wands from the top of Stuff's head and use them against him. Might even eat them as some sort of Alice in Wonderland biscuit maneuver. But I reckon Jazz Bear's just like if Stuff's a fairy, Jazz is a devil. And even then, he's hacking my game. Jazz, I reckon we're going to keep that technical error in. Jazz is pushing through, and I think he's beating Stuff the Magic Dragon in an absolute upset. I reckon Jazz is taking Stuff out of a big upset here. The Demon Void Bear is going to take Stuff, and that will be the end of the top 8. We move on to semi-finals. We're going to jump straight into the semi-final here. These are the final 4 battling it out. First round of the semi-finals. We have the Coyote versus Benny the Bull. The Coyote, again, the underdog of this whole bracket. Crazy Coyote, we call him. Wiley's cousin. The lucky side of the coin. Call him whatever you want. He's up against the veteran, Benny the Bull. Benny's taken out some absolute juggernauts we wouldn't think would be happening. But when we come down to this matchup and we really think about it, it'll be a bit more analysis in the next 3 rounds. The Coyote, man, like the Coyote can I don't know if we take it back to the round 1 Animal Kingdom, a Coyote versus a bull. I don't think a Coyote beat the bull. Let's be real, fellas. I don't think a Coyote is beating a bull. However, does the Coyote beat Benny? Now, Benny, he's not like the other bulls. He's decided to go down the Mascot route, hang out at the stadium instead of running down Mexico, running down Spain, wherever they run the bulls. But, sorry, he's a little softer than the average bull, which puts a point for Coyote. But he is a veteran. Although, the Spurs have been around for long enough as well. But I reckon, look, the underdog, or the Coyote, the under Coyote, I reckon he's taken Benny out here. I reckon he's got something about him that's just he's gonna sort Benny out. As I said, if this was a regular bull, the Coyote loses. But because it's Benny, I reckon he's a bit soft, and the Coyote will move on to the grand finals. Now we come down to the final round of the semis. G-Wiz versus Jazz Bear. What absolute weapons of this bracket. G-Wiz has had an abundance of bag of tricks to take on all of his opponents. But Jazz Bear, he's been a bit of the magic killer. Dare I say, a wizard killer. He doesn't believe in magic. He can't see magic. He doesn't see hope. He doesn't see love. He doesn't see care. Even though he's a bear, he just sees victory. And, he is a scary motherfucker. And I don't think he's afraid of G-Wiz. I reckon, as I said, if he was against Christ himself, he would be the Antichrist. He is anti-magic, and G-Wiz, he only has magic. If you take away his magic and his wizardry, he's just a bloke from Sesame Street. And he's a Muppet. And do you reckon Jazz Bear can rip apart a Muppet? He can. And G-Wiz, the magic doesn't work on Jazz. Jazz Bear is immune to magic. And because of that, Jazz is going to go to the grand finals. And G-Wiz is going to have to battle for 3rd against Benny the Bull. Oh, what an absolute run by Jazz Bear. I'm not sure what's going to happen in the grand final. He has to play Coyote, and we're going to find out what happens right now. Now have the bronze match. It's been a hell of a tournament. I hope actually this has been worth watching because I've just been recording this blindly. G-Wiz against Benny the Bull for the final. G-Wiz is a bit broken down after realizing that magic doesn't work on Jazz Bear, but Stuff found that out the hard way, and G-Wiz didn't take any notes and didn't have any other alternatives. Meanwhile, Benny the Bull had a really strong run, using his veteran card as many times as he could. but maybe he's met his match with the Wizard G. As this matchup goes, I think it's very G Wiz favored. I think he can go back to his old tricks. I know Benny the Bull has seen pretty much every trick in the book, as long as there's books have been written. But the Wizard is really powerful in all the things he can do, all the things he can say, all the dances he's probably had relations with. And he never calls them back. Meanwhile, Benny's an honest man. I think this is not really the title fight, but it's really one we didn't expect to come all this way. I didn't think G Wiz would get this far from the start. I'd forgotten of his power until I really took back and took a look at it. It's a little bit lackluster, but just because the pure power of G Wiz, I reckon that G Wiz takes this. He takes third place in the bracket. Benny gets fourth, probably equal fourth, maybe top fourth, actually. I don't know how it works. But yeah, G Wiz taking out bronze. And we're going to run straight into the next one, which is the grand final, what you've all been waiting for. Hopefully you've been watching this far. Thank you for watching this far. Its content's been hopefully good enough. We have the Juggernauts. On the left, the Coyote from the San Antonio Spurs versus Jazz Bear from the Utah Jazz. What a fucking matchup. Who knew that either of these two would be at the fucking end in the grand final? Especially the Coyote. The underdog versus the Antichrist. This is just blowing my mind about the potential of these two. The Coyote has ran through the bracket. Jazz had a bit of an easy run, I reckon, although he killed two magic wielders throughout the whole bracket and continued to go in the pure void, the pure Antichrist menace of just the Jazz of Utah. I just, the Spurs can win how many championships in a row? They're all behind Coyote there, but Jazz Bear, there's just something about him. There's something that can't be stopped. I reckon he might be the most powerful mascot that is currently active. Now, I'm not saying he's the most powerful mascot of all time. There are a couple of retired mascots, such as I think his name's the Net Man, which was an absolute disgrace of a mascot. There's some, Seattle mascots in there that might have got this far. But if we come down to town, if we're going to really fight this out, I reckon the Coyote comes out with his tricks, with his wily blood, comes in, does a lot of damage to Jazz, and I reckon knocks him down to a point where the Jazz Bear's light has really, really removed from his eyes. And the Coyote would start turning around, celebrating already, looking out the crowd, cheering on, and all the crowd would be like, turn around. And by that point, it'd be too late. Jazz Bear would rise up, quite literally, just like antimatter, just off the ground, levitating. All that magic he's been reversed. He's actually consumed this entire time. And then the eyes in his light finally shine up. Fucking just shoots, lasers out of his eyes. Fuck knows. Teleports behind him like Rock Lee. God fucking knows what Jazz Bear does. The whole videotape has been censored. And Jazz just leaves Coyote in the absolute dust. I reckon that Jazz Bear is the most powerful and the winner of this mascot rumble. Jazz Bear takes this round. It's just, he is too powerful. What's up our standings of the bracket? I'll show you a full bracket rundown at the end of this clip, but we're going to go through the third, second, and first in that order. G Wiz coming in third. We learned a lot about G Wiz across this journey. We didn't really think he'd end up third out of all of this, but he's coming in as the third most powerful and would win everyone else in a fight. Would beat everyone else in a fight. G Wiz in third place. In second, we have the Coyote. Very strong runner-up. Absolute underdog. If you had money on Coyote, you would have absolutely made dividends of him paying top 3 in a place. Absolute psycho killer. And in first place, our new overlord of the planet, Jazz Bear. The most powerful and would beat every single one of these people, every single one of these mascots in a fight, Jazz Bear. He is our winner. Play some sound effect. If you cross Jazz Bear in the street, especially in Utah, you better cross the road. I don't care if you're jaywalking. I don't care if you have to jump on a bus. You get out of this man's way. Jazz Bear, You are the winner. Congratulations. So we're just going to go through as a bit of a recap to see Jazz Bear's run. Where is he? He's down here. So he beat Boomer round 1. That makes sense. Then he beat Bango. Also makes sense. Big upset against Stuff the Magic Dragon because he was running through the bracket here. Comes in, beats G Wiz after the knowledge he learned against Stuff. Comes in, beats the underdog Coyote. Ends up 5-0 for the first place. The Coyote in a 4-1. He only loses to Jazz Bear, but otherwise he's run through this bracket here. If you look, he had a big run. You know, he beat Bernie, which was easy. Beat Hooper after beating Chuck. Luck takes Luck on his side and beats Luck the Leprechaun. Comes in and beats the Veteran, beating the Bull, and loses to Jazz for second. And G Wiz, again, running through here, beats some big heavy hitters. Harry the Hawk, Rocky the Mountain Lion, Slamson the Lion as well, who was looking really good for this tournament. Losing to Jazz and ending up in third. So that's it, everybody. That is the video. I'm going to hopefully unlock this, edit this as best I can. And yeah, I hope you watch the whole video. Thanks, fellas. Bye.